Okay, welcome to the last page of the notes for 7-1. We didn't get these covered in class, so I'm going to do them here in video format for you. Hopefully you'll understand them. All right, so we have this volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed, which is a formula from geometry. And we're supposed to find the radius of this ball to the nearest hundredth. What we know is actually the volume over here. They give us a volume of 80 cubic feet. So where it says V, we're going to put 80. And our goal here is to find the radius. So you're going to start by canceling off the 4/3, and we'll take it in stages here. It's a little easier to understand. If you multiply both sides by 3, you'll get rid of that denominator down there. And that'll give you 240 here is equal to 4 pi r cubed. And then we'll divide both sides by 4 pi to get rid of that part. You're going to get a pretty nasty number when you take 240 divided by 4 pi. I will say that when you divide by 4 pi, you have to put it in parentheses. So say 240 divided by, and then in parentheses, 4, and you'll find the pi key in blue on the very right-hand side underneath the clear button. It's the same as the exponent key. So go second exponent key, close parenthesis, and hit enter. And that's 19.098. I'm just going to say approximately 19.1. What we have left here is just to get rid of that cubing, and I'll do that by cube rooting both sides. And now we know what r is. We'll be rounding here, so I'll put a dot above my equal sign. To get the cube root, you want to go math. That's a key on the left side of your calculator. Choice number 4, and then type in 19.1. And if you did everything correctly, you should get approximately 2.67. 2.67 feet. Okay, now one of your homework problems asks you to convert from feet into inches. So even though it doesn't ask for it here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So if you subtract off the decimal part of this, you get 2 whole feet. So I'll just put that down, 2 feet. And then I'm going to type the remaining part, 0.67, and if I say times 12 inches, so 0.67 times 12, it rounds to 8 inches. It's actually 8.04, but I'm just going to round to 8 inches. The nearest inch would be 8 inches. Okay, about 2 foot 8 inches. All right, we have another example here. We have x to the 4th equals 16, so I'm going to recopy that so I can work with it. A little bit bigger version of it. And you're going to do the 4th root. And just like when you take the square root of both sides, anytime you have an even index, you want to use a plus or minus sign here. All right, so I'm going to copy down. I get an x here, and on the other side, I get either positive or negative 2. Now let me show you how to type the 4th root of 16. You'll start on your home screen and type 4. That'll be the index since it's a 4th root. Then you go math and choice number 5. After that's done, type 16 and hit enter, and you'll get the positive answer, 2. And just manually put that plus or minus sign in there to get both of the answers. Okay, so I'll do another one very similar to that. The 4th root, x to the 4th is 81 over 625. So I'll just rewrite it here. And I'll take the 4th root of both sides, since that's an even index, we're going to have two answers, positive or negative. I'll put that in there. So x is going to equal positive or negative, and now I'm going to get my calculator going here. On the home screen, type your index, which is 4. Then go math choice number 5 and type 81 divided by 625, and that gives 0.6. Finish by going math, enter, enter, and you'll convert it to the fraction 3/5. So we have to manually put the plus or minus sign on there since the calculator is programmed to give the radical version, which is only the positive version. Okay, the goal in number 24 here is to put all of these numbers in order from the smallest to the greatest. So I'm going to just label them. That's A, this one's B, this one will be C, D, and we're going to figure out how much of each of these is worth. Okay, the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. If you think of negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 giving negative 27, you'll understand that one. Example B is identical, except it's got an extra negative sign that changes. It's the opposite of that last answer, so that's just going to be positive 3. And to make sure you see that, I'm going to highlight A, and then I'll highlight the same thing in the other one, but it's got that negative sign in front that changes the sign again. Okay, the square root of 16 is 4, but putting that negative in front of it makes it negative 4. And then the fourth root of 16. You're trying to find the number that would make this true. It has to fill in all 4 of these blanks to give 16. And you can see that that would be maybe 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, so that's going to be your fourth root of 16, but let's do it on the calculator to help us. 4, math 5, 16, and enter. So that's just 2. Okay, the smallest of these is C. And I'm going to check them off as I go. The next smallest would be A. And then followed by D. And the last one here would be, the biggest one is actually B. And you finish this off by saying the one on the left is the smallest. And those are both smaller than that, and all of them are smaller than this one. So you just put a lot of less than signs in there and you got it. That's how you order things from least to greatest on symbolically. Okay, the last 2 problems rely on information that's given in the directions. We're told that n is an even number, so I know this index is even out here. Likewise on example B. And with an even index, anytime you have a variable to a power, you need absolute value bars at least to start. So let's do both of these. It's going to be a to the 5th power. And the reason it's 5th power is you're going to take this exponent and divide it by that index. So 5n divided by n gives 5. Well, the same approach will get you b to the 4th in this one. Now, the very first problem where we got a to the 5th, the absolute value of a to the 5th, you have to have the bars around it to ensure that you get the positive answer that you need when you've got this radical sign. The reason you need it is because if a is positive, you get a positive to the 5th power is still positive. But if it's negative, you're in trouble here because negative times negative times negative times negative times a 5th negative would be a negative number, and you can't have that. So you got to have the bars around it. But in this case, or you have an even exponent, think about the two possibilities. If b were a positive number, you'd get a positive result. And even if b is a negative number, negative times negative is positive, and another negative times negative is positive. And since it's an even exponent 4, it pairs up, and with that, we know that it's positive without the help of the bars. So you're going to take the bars off. Okay, going back to the previous problem. If you have an even index and an odd exponent at the back, that's the only time you need these bars in your final answer. Okay, with an odd index, there's only one answer, and it can be negative, so you shouldn't force it to be positive when it can be negative. In other words, no bars, darling, no bars. You're going to simply go n, 7n divided by n would be 7. So this one's c to the 7th power with no bars. The other one is d to the 6th power with no bars. So anytime you have an odd index, then you're not trying to make the answer to be the positive version of it. And that does it for page 4 of the notes. So I hope that explanation was good enough that you can figure out how to get your homework done. All right.